Darlings, give me a second. I have just made my tea and realized I forgot my tea plate, so give me just a second. Hello. Sorry about that. I have this little tea plate that's made to be used with a silicone tea bag. I don't use the silicone tea bag. I use a tea ball. Um, but it's typically like tucked away, off to the side, when I'm not using it, and I had made the tea. I was all ready to go. The water is heated correctly. Um, and then I realized as I was sitting down and getting ready, oh yeah, I'm gonna need the tea plate. So, we're gonna see how this tastes. It should be all nice and tasty. I ordered some custom tea, um, off of Etsy. Um, so yeah, we're gonna see. It should be really good because it's a blackberry based tea and I really like that. But we will find out shortly. Oh, I hope all of y'all are having a good week. If not, it's Wednesday, so you're halfway through it. It is still sequel summer. Today's is gonna be a lot of fun. Today compared to why can't I talk? Compared to some of the others, both that we've already done and that we're going to be doing, this one is a lot of fun. Because this is the Howl's Moving Cat. Oh, it's blue. This one is the Howl's Moving Castle one. Sorry, guys. um. Sorry, didn't expect that to be blue. Looked over, saw the. So. Okay. I have a couple of teas that are, like, colored. I have one that's a purple tea. I have a couple that I know are blue because they're the butterfly pea flower. So that being said, I read the brewing instructions for this because the seller includes that if you get a custom tea from them. So I read that and paid attention to that. Didn't really pay attention to any of the ingredients because I'm just trusting them. I asked for it to be blackberry as the main flavor, so we'll see how this goes. And also it's in a pink cup, so even when I brew my like blue teas, sometimes if I get the wrong like ratios, they don't show up as super blue, they'll show up as like a pale purple or something. No, I can't explain to you. This is like not quite Microsoft blue, but not far off. This is very blue. uh, so let me give it another minute and then I will see how this tastes. So, I'm just gonna keep an eye on the clock for a second. I don't want this to go weird the first time I brew it. Yeah, so we are doing the Howl's Moving Castle one, as I promised, which is Castle in the Air. It's the one where I didn't think this was the second one. I thought this was the third one last year. And so if you're wondering, hey, how come we already did the third one? You don't worry about that. I spazzed. That's the answer. Lady Chryseus can count. Alrighty. The bad thing about this T-ball is I have to tilt it back and forth and shake it. There we go. Alrighty. Let us taste this very blue tea. Jeez Louise. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's really nice. Okay. Oh, that's really nice and fruity and just only a little bit of floral and okay. This is not a tea review channel. Oh. Okay. So let us get on with the Howl's Moving Castle sequel. We are still in sequel summer, and as per usual with all of these, this is meant to entertain and inform. I do not hold any of the rights to the works described. I hope you enjoy. I will get to a fun little caveat that we're going to hit as we go into this one. Where... Y'all can see it. Why can't I see it? Hang on, guys. I have to be smarter than my setup. There we go. So this is Castle in the Air by Diana Wynne Jones. Okay, this is the fun part. So the publishing details. It was published by Green Willow Books in 1990. It is a part of a series. It is the second book in Howl's Moving Castle, which doesn't have a series name, but there's 3 books. They take place in the same world. They all involve Howl. I thought I was going crazy because, so a little bit behind the scenes for y'all. When I'm making these and I'm doing sequels, I usually just go and grab stuff off of the ones I've done previously. So I don't have to just go and go and go. I don't want to have to relook things up if I don't have to. Is that lazy? Yes. Does it get me the same information? Also yes. But so this one was published in 1990, and when I was pulling it up, I noticed that the publication I have, that I'll get to in a second, is from 2008. And it looks like the next one was published in 2008. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got all this wrong. I picked the wrong publication date. No. Went and looked it up. The other book was published in 2008. Which means when that book was published, they did a reprint of all 3 of them. So they all have the same covers. And those are the covers I have. So they all match. Even if they're not the most exciting covers. Okay. That being said, I did not find the artist for the original cover, so this is what we have. This is the other cover. This is the one I have. This is the 2008 EOS cover by John Rocco, who's an American illustrator. Excuse me. Who has done the covers for the Percy Jackson series. He's worked at Walt Disney Imagineering. Excuse me. He did the U.S. covers for some of the Kane Chronicles. I'm pretty sure he did some of the Magnus ones as well. It's this super pretty illustration style covers. So we have seen his work before. So what do you need to know about the author? It's still Diana Wynne Jones. She was a British novelist and poet who's been cited as an inspiration for numerous modern fantasy authors. She's won 2 Mythopic Awards. Was friends with Robin McKinley, who's the author of Spindle's End and Beauty, among other things. And for House of Many Ways, which is the one we talked about last year, that was one of the nominees for a Mythopic Award. Mythopic? My brain wants to say it's Mythopic. I really doubt it is. So we're going to move on from that before I catch my brain on it. So what do you need to know? So it's only slightly related to Howl's Moving Castle. It is a book about dreams and prophecy, what you want, and silliness. I'll tell you when we get into a spoiler warning. We're not there yet. I didn't make a separate slide for it. We'll get there. So your brain... Oh, jeez. I sit down to stream and I suddenly get tired. And I don't understand why. Tasty, tasty tea. All right. Your main character is Abdullah. He is a carpet merchant in Zanzibar who spends all of his time that he isn't buying and selling carpets either putting up with his extended relatives or daydreaming. And by extended relatives, I mean his... let me see if I get this right. His father's first wife's family. His father is deceased. I think his mother's deceased. I don't know what's up with his mother. But this is his father's first wife's family. They're a bunch of nags. And they're not very nice. So he puts up with them and basically waits for them to leave him alone. And then he daydreams. Those are his two hobbies. Before I hit this next button, this is your spoiler warning for Howl's Moving Castle, but only sort of, because, look, you don't have to read Howl's Moving Castle to read and enjoy this. You don't even have to really know. But I'm going to say some things that are going to only matter if you haven't read Howl's Moving Castle, or if you have any intention of reading it. So, this is your warning. It's only slightly related to Howl's Moving Castle. So honestly, this is the third book. Honestly, this is the second book. The third book, House of Many Ways, has a lot more ties to Howl's Moving Castle. But if you liked that world, you like the way magic tends to act, this book was a delight, and you should absolutely read it. If you haven't read Howl's Moving Castle, this is still a delight, and it's a great book, because you don't need to know what happened in that book to enjoy this one. So, for example, there are characters that show up in disguise. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Important characters from the book Howl's Moving Castle show up in disguise in this sequel to Howl's Moving Castle, and are not, in fact, the main characters. Does this sound remarkably similar to House of Many Ways? Yes, because Diana Wynne Jones doesn't write the same book. Yes, it's similar to the sequel to this one, but also it's not similar to Howl's Moving Castle. And I'm gonna be honest. Hang on, I'm gonna take a step back. Howl's Moving Castle isn't about Howl; it's about Sophie. The two sequels, the companion and the sequel to Howl's Moving Castle, still aren't about Howl, and are only some sort of about Sophie. It's more of, here are the things that happen that Howl either inadvertently caused or needs to clean up, depending on which books you're talking about. So, yeah. So this is, in no way do you need to read Howl's Moving Castle to enjoy this, but also don't go into this expecting this to be the happily ever after book to Howl's Moving Castle. You'll notice I said your main character is Abdullah, not Howl or Sophie or Calcifer or Markle. Markle? Michael? Michael. Those aren't the main characters, just accept it. So this is a book about dreams and prophecy. While specifically the book calls them daydreams, it also applies to the where you want to be kind of dreams, And what do you make of prophecy? For example, my two examples here. Abdullah daydreams so much, he half believes his daydreams. And the Sultan absolutely believes in prophecy to the point of a rather silly declaration that winds up being helpful. Let me put it that way. I will say the nice thing. Oh, jeez Louise, I'm gonna be yawning, and I'm very sorry about that. And it's if it's frustrating for y'all, it's also frustrating for me because I don't want to sit down and immediately start yawning. The nice thing about this book is that it doesn't write off dreams as silly and nonsense. It doesn't say, oh, that's dumb. Why do you believe that? Blah, blah, blah. Honestly, it leans more towards saying that about fate than about dreams. Because your dreams are kind of a moving target. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I appreciate that. So, what do you want? These are some of the big questions of the book. Was enough? Is it enough just to be a carpet salesman who deliberately chose a stall that wasn't in the best location because it's kind of in the best location for what you want? What makes you happy? What are you willing to give up and or suffer through for that happiness? There are a couple of characters who are very much in the modern camp of more is more, and also I'm never happy. But it's an interesting it's an interesting book in the way it addresses it. There are shifts in perspectives, but also there are things that are kind of explicitly said that, hey, these things that 90% of the world, both in the book and in reality, are like, these are bad and dumb. In fact, they are not. They are only bad and dumb if you find them as such and they hamper you. They are not, if you can still function, they are not in fact bad and dumb. There's a great moment towards the end where Abdullah and his lady, because he also gets a girl, are having a discussion, and it's very interesting because they're going through, oh, I was told all of these things, and oh, I was being foolish before, and here's, how I was told that. And he's like, well, yeah, but here's the reasons that I went with that and didn't do these other things. And it was all a wash because, hey, was it unconventional? Sure. Did it work for them? Also, yes. So, in fact, it is fine. And I appreciate that. So this is a book about silliness. More than Howl's Moving Castle, which I just abbreviated here to HMC. Almost as much as House in many ways. This book is silly. It's a delightful read. It takes itself just serious enough, and it laughs at everything else. There's characters who literally don't see what's going on right behind them. And then there are characters who are like, oh no, this thing is happening. No, it's not. All right, I guess it's not. Let's just keep moving. There's a lot of Jeez Louise, can y'all hear that? I hope not. Hang on. Okay, I hope that's better. Oh, there's a lot of flowery and florid language, and there is a reason given for it, and that is enough to make it not annoying. But also, there are characters that find it absolutely annoying, and you know where they're coming from, which makes it even better. So, on to recommendations. So, this one you'll notice I didn't put on the bullet list earlier, but I'm going to put it here. This is a departure for the series. Specifically because the peoples that it focuses on are vastly different from the people in either Howl's Moving Castle or House of Many Ways. And how is it a departure from the series if this is second and House of Many Ways came later? Shh, don't worry about that part. If you line the three of them up, this one is the odd one out, so we're gonna call it a departure, okay? Alright. Let's start with Ever by Gail Carson Levine. I really enjoyed this book, but I will admit, if you line it up next to Ella Enchanted and Fairest, this one is a weirdo. It is about a girl and the god of loneliness, if I remember correctly. Or the wind god? He might be both. It's a tale about them and what is immortality and blah blah blah, stuff like that. I will say this, it is written very differently from everything else Gail Carson Levine wrote. So don't go into this thinking it's Ella Enchanted or Fairest. It's not. I really like Ever, but you have to come in knowing that it's not like anything else from Gail Carson Levine. Number 2 is Cold Fire by Tamora Pierce. Why is this one on this list when it is the third book of the second quartet? I'm so happy you asked why I put the third book of the second quartet on this list. So, I'm going to have to give you some premise. And I'm going to try to spoil as little of the first quartet and second quartet as possible. Are you with me? Great. The first quartet follows a set of children becoming mages. The second quartet follows those children, now slightly older, gaining apprentices. The reason this book in particular is a departure from the other 4 in the second quartet is not because they don't... So, how do I explain it? Honestly, I could have put Shatterglass in here, but I didn't want to as much as I love Shatterglass because it doesn't break the mold in the same way. With the exception of Shatterglass, which even then is only tangentially related, none of the apprentices have the same magic as the mages. Cold Fire throws the additional wrinkle in that one mage is getting 2 apprentices, and not only do they not have the same magic as her, they don't have the same magic as each other. And if I'm remembering correctly, they're twins, and there's, like, problems here. So it's a departure in the fact that it's throwing extra wrinkles into the formula that the first 2 books set up. And then you get to Shatterglass, and that's a whole different thing. But even Shatterglass falls more in line than Cold Fire does. Actually, I should have put Shatterglass on here because... Huh. Okay, never mind. We're still going with Cold Fire. You'll notice there's 5 dots here. It's fine. Number 3 is Dragon Drums by Anne McCaffrey. This is the 3rd book in the Harpercraft Hall trilogy. It doesn't take place at the Harpercraft Hall, so there's ding 1 for it breaking the mold. 2, it's not about Meneley, it's about Pymer. Love that boy, we do. And 3, it takes place on the southern continent. Think of it as Dragon Australia. That's not really an exaggeration. It's a lovely book. It's still focused on music, like the Harpercraft Hall books are, but it's focused on different aspects and different characters, even though you'll see some familiar faces. So, The Mark of Athena by Rick Riordan. This one is kind of on here as me being sassy because I've tried to read this book 3 times and I can't get past the halfway point. So, either there's something wrong with me or there's something very different about this book compared to all the ones that came before it. And I clearly haven't read what comes after because I can't get through this one. But, oh boy. So yes, is this the sassy answer? Yes, it is. I still can't get through this book. I keep trying. It keeps just like catching in my craw and being dumb. I think it's the absolute plethora of points of view. I think, and I've said this before with the Kane Chronicles, I think Riordan does better when he has one point of view and sticks with it. And as soon as you start spreading that out to multiple points of view, his writing gets way weaker. And I don't know if it's just because he's bad at writing girls, or Percy makes more sense and the others just don't hold up. Not sure. Alright, and the last on this list is Tahanu by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is the last book in the Wizard of Earthsea cycle. Spoiler warning, this is the last book in the Wizard of Earthsea cycle. Also, it is dry as bone. It is vastly more of a slog to get through. So let me say this with the preface of I really like the Wizard of Earthsea cycle. I really like the books. I really like Ged and the Tombs of Aten and all of the books. It's just Tahanu that takes forever. I have finished it, and yeah, it gets better at points, but it is such a drag. It's like reading the Lord of the Rings appendices, but there's slightly more plot. Emphasis on slightly. Yeah. This is one of those books where I can't say that if you've picked this book up thinking it is separate from the Wizard of Earthsea cycle, and you were like, man, this is boring, and then found out it was part of the cycle, and then never checked out the cycle, check out the cycle. They are way more interesting, even though they are on the slower side of fantasy novel, children's fantasy. Tahanu is a being unto itself, and while it does get better, it's not an easy read. It really is a Lord of the Rings kind of read. And now for silliness. So, my recommendations for books that are silly. Yes, you'll recognize some of these authors. Number 1 is The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Justin. Yes, read this book. Just do it. It is fantastic. It is 99% puns and wordplay. There's some math jokes in it. There's some language jokes in it. There's an island called Conclusions. You guess how you get there. You jump. It is an absolute blast and an absolute delight. It's also a really quick read. It wouldn't know a serious thought if you hit it in the face with a 2x4, but it's really well written and a lot of fun. Number 2 is The Two Princesses of Bamar by Gail Carson Levine. I debated doing this or doing one of her fairy books, which are technically more silly than this one, because this one is not entirely silly, but this one does have moments of levity that are they're not jarring, but if you describe them to someone you were, if I told you that this book had a terminally ill person in it, and I'm like, also it's a hilarious book, and there's all these silly things that happen, and at one point, like, the main character and her boyfriend make up a silly little song and dance around. And also, the main character is not the one with the terminal illness and decides to take time for this. You'd probably be like, that's terrible, and why is that in there, and how is this, like, one of your favorite books ever? And I'm like, shush, read it yourself. It is a delightful book. It is a children's book. It has, the way it deals with magic and sensibilities about magic, and it's just a lot of fun. Check it out. It's great. Charmed Life, which is the first of the Chrestomanci Chronicles, by Diana Wynne-Jones. Yes, this is the same person who wrote Howl's Moving Castle and the book we're talking about today, but shush, ignore that. I was trying to think of silly things, and this popped in my brain. All of these they're related, but also stand on their own feet. Yes, you can read any of the Chrestomanci Chronicles and you'll miss very little. Yes, they're all silly and full of magic. And then How to Ditch Your Fairy by Justine Larbalstier? Lalberstier? I'm not sure if that's ball and then the E is silent, or bail and then, anyway. Point being, How to Ditch Your Fairy. It's a great book. Everybody has a fairy. Some of them are the good hair fairy. Some of them are fine loose change in the couch fairy. And the main character, I don't remember which fairy she has. The main character wants a better fairy, basically. And is pretty sure that the only way to ditch your fairy, as per the name, is to have a near-death experience. So there are more than a few really terrible things that she does, trying to trick her fairy into thinking she's dead. There's a level of seriousness to it, but 99% of it is also silly and hilarious. So I highly recommend it for that. I will say this, when I was picking things for silliness, there were a lot of books I could have picked, that are aimed at a younger audience, but honestly, I think the one here that's aimed at the youngest is The Phantom Tollbooth. The others are all, there's a little more to them. Gail Carson Levine writes a lot of things that are at surface level one thing, and you look at them a little harder and they're a second. Honestly, I also could have put like the first Percy Jackson book on here because that book is remarkably silly, but it's less about the silliness and more about adventure. And yes, The Two Princesses of Amar and The Phantom Tollbooth are both about adventure, but not really. I mean, yes, but also no. And look, at some point, I'm going to have to do one of these where it's like the most spoilery thing ever, and I'm going to have to do like all of my absolute favorite books that I can't talk about without spoiling them. Like The Two Princesses of Amar, like the first Elena book, like Sandry's book, like there are a whole bunch of these that, oh, excuse me, there are a whole bunch of these that Oh, I didn't put my dates on these. Maybe I'll remember. Uh... that I can't talk about without spoiling. Dragon Singer, for instance. And I'm just gonna have to be super spoilery, but at no point do I want these recommendations to be like, oh yeah, listen to me talk about this and don't read it yourself. No. I want you to read it. I want people to read and enjoy these things on themselves, to make their own opinions about them. Just because I absolutely adore a book doesn't mean anybody else will. Look, anybody can find a book they like, but that doesn't mean anybody else is going to like the same book. It's fine. I adore the Critical Role books as audiobooks because I'm a fan of Critical Role and I like hearing the voices. That's perfectly fine. As a general rule, do I like audiobooks? No. I prefer not. But do I make exceptions because nerd? Yes, I do. And these are kind of in the same vein. Okay, so coming up on the next one. Excuse me. So what I'm looking at is I'm going to try to get through the rest of Assassin's Quest. Royal Assassin, I think, was the second one. I think it's Assassin's Quest. The next Farseer book. And then we're going to have a choice. So at that point, it will either be the next mything. Let me. Can I do this while I'm streaming? Let's see if I can do two things at once, shall we? Let's see. If I come here and I go here, does that stop the stream? Everybody still here? Everybody appears to still be here. Fantastic. So let's do a poll. Which book sequel should I finish out the summer with? So, Myth Alliance, whatever the third book is for that. What else do we have? We have, we had Cinder, Scarlet, whatever the third Cinder. Oh gosh, I've turned the lights off on my keyboard. The third Cinder book. We have Myth Alliance, we have the third Cinder book, we have E. Aster, Bunnymund, and then let's see. Do we want there's a handful. Oh! This is for the bonus book. I forgot. We missed a week because of me. So this is not for August. This is for the one that's running into September. I just realized what the other one is. Or let's see. What is? Let me look up the name of the sequel. This one. The sequel to the Magicers, which if you remember that one, that was the Magic Summer Camp. All right. So that is up. We will see what all I can't tell. Am I still streaming? Has it dropped? Oh gosh. I think it's okay. It's really hard to tell because I've navigated away from the screen that I usually sit on to double check my stream quality. And so now I can't tell. Let's see. If I go here, does it try to start a second stream? I really don't know. I've never done this before, guys. I think I may have done goofed. I can't check, and I don't know how. This is what happens when I don't open a separate tab for things. Okay. So I have 4 books up. If there's another sequel that you're looking for, that isn't the one I'm already planning because I forgot about that one and I'm bought it specifically for this, we will do that. Leave me a comment. Let me know. I'm still trying to get my hands on an older version of Beowulf so I can read Beowulf because I realized the one I have is a Seamus Heaney translation, which technically means it's not out of copyright because translations also have copyright. C'est la vie. Yeah. I will say, I have a second project I've been working on, and I was getting a handle on it, and then, unironically, the YouTube tutorial I was looking for is no longer available. So now I'm either going to have to figure another YouTube tutorial, or I'm going to have to teach it to myself from scratch in memory. So that's fun. But yeah. Thanks for putting up with my rambling. Excuse me, I know I've been a bit all over the place tonight. But I hope you had a good night. I hope you have a good rest of your week. I'm going to get some more tea. And I will see you all next time, hopefully for Assassins. If I have to put the Assassins off, I have something else I can read as well. Hopefully I can read them both simultaneously. But yeah. I will see you in 2 weeks. Have a good night.